My name is Logan Davies. For 32 years, I believed my sole purpose in life was to be a personal ATM for my family, especially for my only younger brother, Tanner. I covered his failures, his debts, and every single one of his expensive whims. At the cost of over £100,000 of my hard-earned money, I was constantly reminded of my familial duty. But one night, that ended. It was 2:30 a.m. on a Saturday. My phone exploded. My mother, verging on hysteria, was screaming in my ear, "Logan, Tanner is in the hospital. They beat him badly. He has fractured ribs. You have to send £12,000 immediately, or they won't treat him properly, and his passport will be confiscated." My heart was hammering in my chest, but my voice came out steady, cold, and composed. For the first time in 2 decades, I tasted the satisfaction of refusal. I said only 6 words: "Call your darling little princess." And then I did what I should have done years ago. I hung up, powered my phone off, and went back to sleep. I thought that was the end of the drama. But when I woke up on Sunday morning, alongside 61 missed calls and 147 texts, a call from an unknown number changed everything. Police officer: "Logan Davies, this is Officer Davies from the Surrey Police. I'm calling about your brother, Tanner. We have just discovered he is facing charges of felony fraud, assault, and theft. Bail has been set at £6,500 cash, and there is a further £5,000 surgical deposit. And, Ms. Davies, your name is listed as a co-signer on the counterfeit ID he used." My single act of defiance had shaken the foundations of my family's hidden life, and now my silence was costing my brother his freedom and my parents their home. What was the real extent of Tanner's fraud? Who instructed my parents to mortgage their house? And why was my name used on the fake documentation? They were asking for £12,000, but they demanded my entire life. To find out what happened next and to hear the full story of the consequences my family faced, click subscribe now.
My phone screamed at me around 2:30 a.m., the sound slicing through the quiet of my Clapham flat. It was a panicked group call from my parents. "Logan, your brother is in the Royal Surrey County Hospital right now. Send £12,000 immediately, or they won't treat him properly. He'll be in agony all night and will be stuck with the entire private bill." I took a deep, steady breath, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. I replied calmly, "Why don't you try calling your darling little princess?" Then I hung up, switched my phone off completely, and slid back under the duvet. The next morning, a ring from the Surrey Police changed the entire wretched game. Let's not waste any time, because this story is genuinely beyond the pale. I'm Logan Davies, 32, a chartered quantity surveyor working on major infrastructure projects across the UK. I live alone, finally, in South London, having moved away 8 years ago. I'm the eldest daughter, and since I was old enough to know what a current account was, my family has used me as their own personal Barclays ATM. My parents ingrained in me the archaic belief that the eldest child must sacrifice everything for the younger ones, particularly for Tanner, their precious only son. I've covered university fees, paid deposits on flats, bailed out staggering credit card bills, you name it. I always buckled under the pressure because I thought that's what a good big sister did. But that night, at 2:30 a.m., that well of obligation finally ran dry. I flat out refused, and what unfolded next shattered my family in ways I'm still trying to process. If you've ever been the family's financial scapegoat, the one who gets bled dry but never respected, tell me your story in the comments below. I promise I read them all. And if you're enjoying this tale so far, please take a second to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. It genuinely helps me bring you more unbelievable stories like this one. I'm 32 now, and moving to London 8 years ago was the single best decision of my life. My younger brother, Tanner Davies, is 26, and my sister, Skylar Davies, is 23. Dad, Malcolm, took early retirement from a respectable role at the HMRC with a decent government pension. Mom, Victoria, has always been the quintessential homemaker. From the second Tanner was born, he was the undisputed prince of the house, the golden child who could do no wrong. Skylar, the second child, quickly became the perfect little princess, sweet, compliant, and always rewarded with the latest gadgets or clothes. I, however, was told my sole purpose was to carry the team. You're the oldest, Logan. You look out for your brother and sister. That's just the deal. When I was 22, clutching my quantity surveying degree, I moved back to the family home in Guilford for a year. I worked 3 jobs: site inspections by day, bar staff in a pub on the weekends, and freelance CAD work in the evenings. All of it was to cover Tanner's tuition at a mid-tier Russell Group university. 24,000 pounds wired straight from my hard-earned savings. A year later, he decided that university wasn't his vibe and dropped out. Mom gave him a big hug and said, "Boys will be boys." Dad took him to a Tottenham match to cheer him up. The money was never mentioned again. 3 years on, Skylar finished her A-levels. Mom called me weeping with pride, declaring that her baby girl deserved a treat. 2 weeks later, I was co-signing a finance agreement for a new white Range Rover Evoque. The 48-month payment of £390 was deducted directly from my wages. Skylar sent a thank you text with a flurry of emojis and posted photos of the car on Instagram with the caption, "Best big sis in the world." I still have the screenshot. Last year, Mom woke me up at 3 a.m., hysterical, because their joint credit cards were maxed out. £7,500 for a high-spec gaming rig for Tanner and designer handbags for Skylar's social media content. I transferred the full amount before I was even fully awake. She swore it would be the final time. It was not. Whenever I attempted to say no, the routine was rigid. Mom would descend into tears, Dad would become stern and disappointed, Tanner would call me selfish, and Skylar would ghost me for weeks. The message was unmistakable: pay up or you're out. I started keeping a spreadsheet just to see the whole painful picture. University, the Evoque finance, endless bailouts, and emergency cash requests. The total was now over £100,000, every penny earned through grueling hours. Not once was there a genuine, grateful thank you. It was an expectation, a duty. I bought into that lie for far too long. Moving to London at 24, I hoped the distance would provide a buffer. It only sped things up, turning the requests into rapid PayPal and instant bank transfers, cleaner, faster, and requiring less conversation. I still usually caved because the guilt they leveraged was heavier than the debt. 2 months ago, Tanner announced in the family group chat that he needed a reset weekend in Monaco with his friend George, the chap whose father owns a large shipping firm. Tanner claimed it was a 4-day, 3-night stay at the Hotel de Paris Monte Carlo, and that Mom and Dad had sorted the lot. Before I could even register the cost, Skylar chimed in saying she was tagging along for content. She added a winking emoji. "Don't worry, big sis, I'm riding with George, 0 cost to the family fund." I found the rest via Skylar's Instagram story. She was at Farnborough Airport, posing in front of a small private jet with a brand new Gucci hold-all captioned, "Thank you, Mummy and Daddy." I screenshotted it, sent it to Mom with a single question mark. Her reply, "We only paid for Tanner, sweetie. Skylar says George is helping out." Translation, they handed Tanner around $3,000 in cash and willfully looked the other way. Tanner's reset weekend quickly spiraled into a social media fever dream of excess. But who was really footing the bill for the private jets, the champagne, and the high-stakes gambling? I was about to find out the sickening truth.
Tanner texted me privately that same Thursday night. "Sis, for once, your wallet gets a break. Parents have covered me 100%. You're off the hook. LOL." I typed back a simple, "all right," and left his message on read. That was the last normal exchange we had. The 3 of them flew out early on a Thursday. I was overseeing a major excavation site in the Docklands when the first wave of posts hit my timeline. Tanner uploaded a selfie on the tarmac with George and Skylar, all 3 in identical designer sunglasses. "Monaco takeover begins now." Skylar followed with a video panning across the interior of what looked like a privately chartered Cessna Citation. George's family was well off, but not exactly private jet rich. I remember thinking, who on earth paid for that? Then quickly dismissing the thought. I was too weary of their drama to care anymore. By the time they landed at Nice-Côte d'Azur and took the quick helicopter transfer to the Principality, the social media feed was relentless. Check in at the Hotel de Paris, key cards flashing, walking into a huge 2-bedroom suite overlooking the Casino Square. Skylar set up her usual ring light for the bathroom mirror, showing off a succession of outfits still bearing the retail tags. Tanner filmed himself carelessly tossing €500 chips onto a roulette table as if they were Monopoly money. George kept posting loud boomerangs of Dom Perignon bottles being popped on the balcony. That Thursday night, I was back in my Clapham flat, eating a takeaway chicken tikka masala when Mum called. She sounded absolutely euphoric. "Your brother is finally unwinding, Logan. He worked so hard trying to find his footing, bless him." I almost spat out my food. Tanner hadn't held down a job longer than a seasonal shift in a Waitrose over Christmas, but I kept my peace. She rattled on about how proud she was that he was finally experiencing the finer things and how terribly generous George's family was. I discreetly checked Skylar's Instagram. She was at the rooftop pool at the Fairmont, clutching a bespoke cocktail that probably cost more than my weekly food budget. I unmuted the call. "Sounds like a right laugh," I said neutrally. Mum promised to send her own photos later. Friday morning brought a fresh torrent of posts. They had hired a white Mercedes S-Class with a driver for the day. There were clips of them downing shots at a pricey brunch spot in the harbor, then aboard a luxurious private motor yacht cruising the bay. Skylar's TikTok went viral, a trend where she danced on the boat's bow while Tanner and George ostentatiously threw banknotes into the air for dramatic effect. The comments were exploding. "Living the life, major goals, big sis must be absolutely minted." I stared at that last comment for a long time. That afternoon, Tanner FaceTimed me from the casino floor. He was already slurring slightly, cheeks flushed, beaming from ear to ear. Behind him, slot machines chimed and people cheered. "Look where we are, Lo. VIP section, bottle service, the works." He flipped the camera to show George high-fiving a hostess and Skylar taking photos with admirers. "Parents really sorted us out, sis. You should see this, it's nuts." I asked what the bottle service alone was costing. He laughed dismissively. "Don't worry about it. George's old man has put everything on his Amex Black. We're sound." Then he lowered his voice, acting conspiratorial. "Seriously, though, thanks for always having our backs growing up. This one's on us." The call ended with him blowing a kissy face. I sat there staring at my phone, a knot of sour dread tightening in my stomach. £3,000 from Mum and Dad. A private plane, a yacht, a limo, black card bottle service. The arithmetic wasn't adding up. But I told myself it wasn't my headache. They were adults. If George wanted to flash his cash, that was his concern. If Mum and Dad wanted to indulge Tanner one last time, that was their pension, not mine. So I switched off all notifications, went for a run along the Thames, and tried to convince myself I simply didn't care. By Saturday evening, the posts had crossed a line. Private, high-stakes poker room, stacks of chips that towered over their crystal glasses. Skylar was wearing a diamond tennis bracelet I'd never seen, with the caption, "Little gifts from Big Bro's winning streak." Tanner filmed himself pushing what looked like €500 chips across a blackjack table. George was shouting, "We own this town!" I refreshed the feed one last time before going to bed and saw that Skylar had posted a mirror selfie in the suite wearing a silk kimono that absolutely wasn't in her Gucci bag. The caption read, "When your family actually believes in you." I threw my phone face down and swore that whatever mess followed, it was not my responsibility. I was catastrophically wrong. The Monaco weekend wasn't a family indulgence, it was a financial catastrophe. What happened next at 2:17 a.m. on Saturday was the sound of my family's entire life savings exploding. Don't forget to subscribe to hear how the police got involved.
The Monaco fantasy rapidly became a nightmare. By Saturday evening, the excessive spending became reckless. Tanner, fueled by arrogance and alcohol, found himself in a private velvet-roped poker room where the minimum buy-in was likely £20,000. The yacht, the designer gear, the endless champagne, we were well over £150,000 in less than 48 hours. I was fast asleep when my phone lit up like a fireworks show at 2:17 a.m. on Saturday. Mum's name flashed, repeated over and over. I knew instantly that the trip had detonated. I answered the fifth call, forcing myself to remain calm. "Logan! Oh God, Logan!" Mum was weeping so hard she could barely breathe. Tanner's in the emergency room. Security at the casino. They beat him, broke his ribs. He's screaming in agony. Dad grabbed the phone, his voice a frantic croak of panic. Your brother lost the plot at the tables. Casino security took him down hard. 3 cracked ribs, possibly a collapsed lung. He's at Barton Memorial in South Lake Tahoe right now. They're holding his UK passport because he signed markers for £4,500 he can't cover. The hospital is refusing the proper pain management until someone pays cash up front. He's begging for you, Logan. Mum snatched the phone back, wailing. I've maxed out every online transfer limit I have. I can't send another penny until the morning. Wire it, PayPal it, anything. I swear on my life I'll pay you back Monday. I sat bolt upright in the dark. The room was deathly quiet, except for their hysteria blasting from the speaker. My heart was pounding, but my voice was level, almost unnervingly so. Why can't you two pay? Dead silence on the line. Then Mum broke down again. We're completely skint, baby. We gave him every single thing we had left for this trip. We thought he was just having a bit of fun. You've always been the strong one. I cut her off with 5 words I had never, ever dared to speak before. Call your darling little princess. Then I ended the call. I yanked the charger out, powered the phone down completely, and lay back against the pillow. My heart was still racing, but an extraordinary cold stillness had settled over me. No guilt, no fear, no tears, just a clean, cold, decisive break. I rolled over and slept the most profound, dreamless sleep I'd had in years. I woke at 9 o'clock to sunlight flooding my flat. I left the phone dead on the floor. I made a proper pot of Earl Grey tea, took a long shower, watered my houseplants, and ate a leisurely breakfast of crumpets and marmalade while reading a proper newspaper. Normal, quiet London Saturday things. I didn't plug the phone in until almost 11 a.m. The instant it booted, utter mayhem erupted. 61 missed calls, 147 WhatsApp messages, and 3 screens worth of voicemails. Mum's texts started as pleading and swiftly became vicious. He's spitting up blood. They're taking him to the theatre. The doctor said another hour without the strong painkillers and he could go into shock. You are killing your brother. I never thought my daughter would turn into this monster. Dad sent a single, simple message. He's asking why you hate him. Skylar went nuclear on social media. She posted a 30-second TikTok from the ER corridor, mascara-streaked, voice trembling. My 26-year-old brother is fighting for his life right now, and my own sister is refusing to send £4,500. She earns a 6-figure salary and she's letting him suffer. Please share this. She tagged my full name and my company. The video hit 1 million views within 2 hours. Strangers flooded my DMs. Hope you rot in hell. Karma is coming for you, witch. Fake feminist. I scrolled through the lot while drinking my tea, feeling absolutely nothing. The casino called first. A blocked number from Nevada. I answered. Hayes. Hayes, this is the credit desk at the Hard Rock Lake Tahoe. We have your brother detained for an outstanding warrant. Can we run a cart now to release his passport and close the account? Contact his parents. The woman hesitated. They're here, sir. Their cards are maxed. Then that's not my concern. Click. The hospital billing department rang 10 minutes later. A tired-sounding nurse explained the same policy. We've given him the minimum dose, but the anaesthetist won't take him back without the surgical deposit. Again, not my bill, not my responsibility. She sighed and hung up. I blocked Mum and Dad's numbers for the first time. I blocked every unknown Nevada and California number that had called. I put on my running gear and went for a 5-mile jog along the Grand Union Canal. The sky was clear, the air was crisp, and my head was completely, beautifully quiet. Skylar's viral GoFundMe wasn't raising money for hospital bills, it was raising money for gambling debts. The police confirmed everything the following morning, and I learned just how deep the...
When I got back from my run, showered, and ordered a Thai delivery, I saw that Skylar's GoFundMe was fully launched. The goal was £16,000 to save Tanner from medical neglect. It was already past £7,500. The top donor had written, "From one family scapegoat to another. Get him out." I unblocked Mum just long enough to send one message. "I'm safe. I'm fine. Do not contact me again until you are ready to treat me like a daughter, not a credit card." I then blocked her again and turned off the phone. That night, I slept for 12 hours straight. Sunday morning, I woke naturally at 8:47 a.m. The sun was streaming through the windows. No dread. I made coffee and finally plugged in my phone. The first call came at 9:01 a.m. sharp. 530 area code. I answered while preparing my oatmeal. Logan Davies? A calm male voice asked. This is Officer Davies, South Lake Tahoe Police Department. I'm calling about your brother, Tanner. I put him on speaker. Go ahead. Last night, at approximately 1:40, casino security contacted us after Tanner assaulted a floor supervisor at the Hard Rock Casino. The officer required 12 stitches above the eye. During booking, we discovered Mr. Tanner Davies was using a counterfeit UK driving license to establish a $50,000 credit line. He's currently in custody facing felony assault, felony fraud, and possible identity theft charges. Bail has been set at £6,500, cash only. Barton Memorial is also holding a separate £5,000 surgical deposit before they complete the rib repair. I tasted the oatmeal. Needed salt. And you're calling me. You're listed as the primary emergency contact and co-guarantor on the casino paperwork. I added salt. I'm 4,500 miles away in London. I am not his guardian, I am not his spouse, and I am not his co-signer. His legal parents are Malcolm and Victoria Davies in Guildford. Direct all communication to them. Officer Davies typed something. We've spoken to the parents. They're present but unable to produce the required amount. Tanner specifically requested we keep trying you. Then Tanner lied to you. I am not paying a dime. Have a nice day. I hung up and sat on my balcony to eat my breakfast, watching the cold London morning unfold. The text messages had been non-stop. Mom had sent 312 messages overnight. I scrolled through them slowly. Photos of Tanner handcuffed to a hospital bed, his face unrecognizable, his chest wrapped in blood-soaked gauze. More photos. The fake ID with my old Guildford address photoshopped onto it. Mom screaming in voice notes. They're treating him like an animal. Dad says he's looking at serious prison time, Logan. Real prison. Skylar was now live on both Instagram and TikTok from the police station car park. Fake tears were streaming. Update. My brother is now under arrest because my sister still refuses to help. The police won't release him without £11,500. He used a fake ID because he was desperate. This is what happens when family abandons you. The chat was a nightmare of public shaming. People were doxing my work email and LinkedIn. The casino manager called next. We can reduce the marker to £2,500 if paid today. Not my marker, not my signature, not my problem. Skylar's GoFundMe exploded past £60,000. She posted a tear-streaked selfie holding a piece of cardboard. Thank you, stranger, for loving my brother more than his own sister. I refreshed my work email. 47 new messages. Subject lines. Disgrace. We know where you work. My boss had forwarded one with a single question mark. I typed a calm reply. Family matter? Handling it privately. Back in the office tomorrow. Mom's final text arrived at 1:13 p.m. They're transferring him to El Dorado County Jail tonight if bail isn't posted. No more hospital bed, a concrete floor. You win. I stared at it, waiting for the familiar surge of gut-wrenching guilt. Nothing came. Just profound silence. I blocked the number permanently. I opened my laptop and started working on a complex planning presentation for Monday. At 6 p.m., I cooked a delicious salmon dinner, streamed a film, and went to bed with every notification silenced. For the first time in 32 years, nobody on earth expected a single penny from me. My father called from Nice Airport that Sunday afternoon, not to apologize, but to reveal a devastating secret. He had mortgaged the family home twice to cover Tanner's escalating gambling debts. The house was now days away from foreclosure. That Sunday afternoon, my phone rang from an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something compelled me to answer. Logan? Dad's voice was utterly defeated, raw, and exhausted. He was calling from Nice Airport's Gate C7, waiting for the last flight back to Gatwick. He didn't bother with small talk. Tanner's been gambling for 3 years straight. He coughed, a dry, racking sound. Not just weekends. Every single week. Online first, then driving to every casino from London to Brighton. He's into loan sharks, betting apps, and casino credit lines. £75,000 total. We found out too late. I stood at my kitchen sink, washing a glass, listening to the airport announcements behind me. The first time he confessed was 18 months ago. He owed £25,000. Dad continued, his voice strained. Your mom and I took out a reverse mortgage on the house in Guildford to cover it. We told ourselves it was a one-off. He swore he'd stop. 4 months ago it happened again. £45,000 this time. We refinanced again. Maxed everything out. The bank sent the final foreclosure warning last week. 60 days, and the house is gone if we don't pay the whole lot. We thought one last big win in Tahoe would fix everything. That's why we gave him the $3,000. He said he had a foolproof system. He lost it all in 6 hours. Then he started signing markers with fake IDs. That's how it snowballed into this weekend. I set the glass down. And you're telling me this now? Because we're completely out of moves, Logan. The house, the cars, Mom's retirement savings, it's all gone or pledged. The only asset left is you. If you take out a personal loan for $80,000, we can pay the bank, get Tanner into a decent clinic in the Midlands, keep a roof over our heads one final time. He's crying in a jail cell, promising he'll change. I walked onto my balcony, letting the cool London air hit my face. So, let me be clear, I said quiet. You twice mortgaged the family home to cover his gambling addiction. You knew he was sick and you still handed him cash for one last score. And now that it's all spectacularly collapsed, you want me to borrow 6 figures to save you from the consequences you created. Dad's voice cracked. He's our only son. I stared out at the London skyline. That's the problem, Dad. You have always only had one son and 2 daughters who never mattered. Silence. Then Dad whispered, Please, Logan, I'm begging you. I'm on my knees here in the airport. I closed my eyes. You taught me that the eldest had to carry everyone. You made that rule. I lived by it for 32 years. And the second I stopped, I became the villain. Dad started crying. The sound choked and ugly. I'm sorry. I know we failed you. I know we put him first every single time. But if you don't help, we lose absolutely everything. Tanner goes to prison. Your mother and I are homeless at 60. Is that what you want? No, I said. That's not what I want. But it's what you built, and I'm done paying for it. I cut him off. I'm not a bank. Dad, I'm your daughter, and you lost the right to ask me for anything the day you chose his addiction over my future, again and again. He was openly weeping. You're really going to let your brother rot in jail? He's 26. He made adult choices. Let him face adult consequences. Goodbye, Dad. I ended the call. I stood there, waiting for the crushing weight of guilt. It never arrived. I blocked his number. Then I did what I should have done years ago. I ran a full credit report on myself. The reverse mortgages were in their names only. Legally, the house was, and had never been, my problem. I poured a glass of Sauvignon Blanc, sat on the sofa, and let the silence wash over me. The harassment lasted exactly 7 days after that. Texts from burner phones, emails from fake accounts. Aunt Linda called from Edinburgh crying that Mum was having a breakdown and it was my fault. Skylar posted daily updates on TikTok. Day 4 without a home because my sister won't help. The chat was filled with laughing emojis. I watched none of it. I had changed my number, blocked every family account, and scrubbed my social media. I signed a lease on a new, quiet flat in Shoreditch. The movers came on Monday. By noon, I was gone. The silence that followed was the most beautiful sound I had ever heard. No more 3 a.m. calls, no more guilt. My battery lasted 2 full days. I walked to the local cafe for a flat white every morning and hiked in the Chilterns on weekends without having to justify why I couldn't send money for plane tickets. Cutting them off wasn't cruelty, it was oxygen. I finally understood that boundaries aren't betrayal. I turned 33 that autumn. I bought a cake, invited 3 good friends, and we ate it on my new balcony. Nobody asked me to pay for anything. Nobody cried. Nobody posted about it online, looking for pity. Just laughter, lemon drizzle cake, and a sky full of stars that finally felt like they belonged to me. I fell asleep with the window open, waking to birdsong instead of dread. For the first time in my entire life, the only person I had to carry was myself. My family tried one final heartbreaking gesture to break the silence, a last plea from a forgotten past. What did I do with their final message? If this story resonated with you, please subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear it.